Our next guest in the studio is Barry Crimmins. Barry is an attorney focusing predominantly in real estate.
Correct.
Tell us a little bit about your practice. Well, first of all, welcome.
Thank
Welcome,
you,
Barry.
Jonathan.
And tell us a little bit about your practice and what your areas of focus are.
Great, I appreciate it. Thanks for having me. So I come from a real estate background. My father had a real estate insurance office in my hometown for many years. I was one of three sons that worked at my dad's office. And then I followed one brother that went to law school and opened up his own practice. I followed him when I got out of law school. And because we both had that real estate background, we developed a real estate transactional practice. We were also doing conveyancing work for banks, but representing private parties as well as retail and commercial developers doing municipal permitting work. My brother got an appointment to the bench in 1992, was on the bench for 18 years. And when he got on the bench, I went off and formed first a partnership with two other attorneys, and then 2 years later, I took over that practice. And so since 1994, I've had my own practice focusing on real estate transactional work, municipal permitting, land use development, and then the other part of my practice is estate planning, estate administration, and elder law. I've been doing it for over 30 years now. And,
interesting. So you're in two areas that never get old, I guess, so to speak.
Exactly.
Are tired.
We'll never
anyways.
go out of business.
Absolutely.
I hope.
So let's focus on the real estate for a few minutes.
Sure.
It would seem to me that we're both in an opportunity, a time of opportunity, because there's so much development going on and so much in the way of expansion. Right. I know we talked a little bit before we came on air. A lot of your clients are in the retail sector.
Exactly.
Have we seen a shift in towns as far as permitting, the process, the expectations? What you and your client do to get a project permitted. Has that changed in your time doing it?
I think it's changed somewhat for the better in that I think a lot of communities are recognizing that in today's world, today's economy, they have to do something to help grow the commercial industrial tax base in their communities, or else the residential homeowners are going to have too heavy a burden, and or loss of services. So a lot of communities are certainly more open to the idea of commercial industrial growth in their communities. We're seeing a lot of redevelopment sites. A lot of times people say, well, there's no more land in this town to develop anymore. So you're seeing a lot of redevelopment sites. One of the projects I was involved with several years ago was a Target store in my hometown right off of Route 24, and that was a redevelopment site. So you are seeing, I think, an acceptance and certainly an encouragement of commercial industrial tax growth in a lot of communities.
Now, one of the things that I've seen in the marketplace is and I guess it's sort of a catch-all today, mixed use, where there's, developers are trying to put a residential community into a retail community, right, and mixing it all up so that it's a multi-use project. Is that a trend because you tend to get more favorable from a zoning commission, or are they looking at those more favorably today?
I think it's a trend for a couple of important reasons. One is simply, again, the economic engine that it helps to promote in a town. But it's also, I think a lot of communities are finding out that housing, which is a need in and of itself, combined with that retail or commercial element on the first floor with residential above that, is helping to address several needs in the community in one fell swoop. And so in a lot of towns, I was at a South Shore Chamber event last week on that very topic, and a lot of communities on the South Shore are finding that by promoting mixed-use development with commercial retail space on the ground floor and residential space above, it's serving as an economic development engine for those communities.
It's an interesting approach because, in a logical sense, if you commute to work and you come home and you park your car, it gives you the opportunity to walk around your neighborhood to do your retail,
exactly,
anything you need to purchase. And I find also for retirees, sort of, it's a simplicity of not having to drive around everywhere to get what you need, but you have a lot of that right out your front door.
Right, and a lot of it's centered around so-called transit-oriented development, where there are commuter rail in the area. A lot of millennials, of course, like the idea that they can live close to the commuter rail if they're working in town or if they're doing a reverse commute. So it's attractive to a lot of segments of the population.
What, given that a lot of your practice is focused on retail, the traditional brick and mortar, how did the .com era and the move to online, shopping and online habits change your practice? Did you see a pullback at any point with some of your clients?
It's interesting because not a great deal.
That's a good thing for you.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the areas where I think we would all expect it, and we see some of it on TV ads in the banking industry, where I think the expectation was, well, we're not going to see any more bricks and mortar. We're not going to see any new banks being built. And I've found just the contrary. Two of my clients in the last 2 years were existing banks building new branch locations. In fact, one of them is having a grand opening tomorrow. If I can give a plug for Harbor One Bank, is opening a new branch that I help permit in Stoughton, and they're having their grand opening tomorrow. Beautiful new bank. So what I think we might have expected to be the case has proven not to be.
Yeah, it's really interesting, and you pick a sector that is shocking to all of us. A couple of us are Newton, actually all three of us in the room, Newton residents. I don't think you can put another bank in Newton Center. Considering how many there are, it's amazing there's enough business to support them all.
Banks and gas stations, you wonder how they can survive with all the competition, but they seem to.
Yeah, and so is there a big, you talked about redevelopment because of the lack of newly developable land, but is most of that today that you're seeing ground up, complete teardowns? Or are you seeing redevelopment of, keeping the shell? And it's a different approach from a zoning and permitting perspective, correct?
I think, yes. A lot of it has been ground up, but even the so-called redevelopment, the Target store that I alluded to was taking an old Liberty Mutual insurance company warehouse storage facility, and they tore the building down. So the site was redeveloped. It wasn't the building itself that was redeveloped. So I think in that case, we're seeing probably more ground up than trying to work within an existing shell.
And in terms of starts and in your geography where you operate, are you seeing an acceleration obviously over the last couple of years? The building boom in this area has been phenomenal. I don't think there's a tradesperson that is sitting there idle ever. But are you seeing that trend continue in 2019 and beyond?
Absolutely. I was at an event last Friday at the Federal Reserve Bank building in Boston, and you looked out the window and all you saw on the skyline were cranes. And what we're seeing in Boston, we're also seeing down through the South Shore, southeastern Massachusetts. So I don't see any evidence of any let up in the foreseeable future.
And I would imagine, given your practice, you're sort of a beacon, or you're at the front end, right? You're in the zoning and permitting is truly at the front end on a lot of these projects. I would imagine from conceptual to you is a short window. From you to customer walking in the store is a long window. And so you're really on the front end of it.
Yeah, a little longer sometimes than we would like it to be. That's the nature of the beast. But deal with a lot of engineers who are dealing initially with their clients, and then, as you said, once that conceptual plan gets to a point where they're ready to roll it out, oftentimes that's when I get contacted to start the permitting process. So.
And is it geography specific in your experience, or is it related to? Are there just certain neighborhoods or areas where there's a butter population? Is that one of the bigger challenges in your area?
It is, and neighborhood issues, traffic issues are always issues. The nature of zoning, I think, in New England in general, and certainly Massachusetts in particular, we don't really have homogeneous zones where this is the residential zone and that's the commercial zone and that's the industrial zone. You have a lot of interaction or intersecting of those zones. So you may have a commercial corridor in a particular community, but right behind that commercial corridor is a residential neighborhood. So those concerns have to be taken into account. We see with the Adder Lane project that occurred on 128, and you see those sound barrier walls that were constructed to address the noise concerns of the residential neighbors along that corridor. So we run into the same thing when a business is going into a community, and in the particular area may be zoned commercial, but it's abutted by a residential zone, so that's always a concern.
I've noticed the moniker commercial 2, commercial, whatever they may be, and obviously to you guys it means something, but to us it's all mixed use.
Exactly. Industrial, light industrial, things of that nature. Yeah.
Excellent. You're also a serial entrepreneur. You've got a new business that you're kicking off. You want to tell us a little bit about it?
Sure. So it's sort of expanding on what I presently do in my practice, the municipal permitting, and it's expanding it two ways. It's expanding the footprint geographically to cover a broader area throughout southeastern Massachusetts, and it's expanding it to not only be able to represent private parties, whether they be homeowners, retailers, property owners, developers, to also be able to represent government entities. So that may be communities looking to update their zoning bylaws, that may be housing authorities that are looking to do housing development, or any other governmental entities. So it's a partnership that I'm forming with a retired town planner, and she comes at it with more of a public sector viewpoint. I come at it with more of that private sector viewpoint, and we think the combination of the two is going to uniquely position us in the marketplace to be able to provide a service to our clients that perhaps isn't out there presently.
Excellent. Well, we wish you the best of luck with it. And
Thank you.
When is that? When is that kicking off? Is it in the works?
We're looking at a May 1st launch, hopefully.
Excellent. Well, we wish you the best of success, and you have to come back and let us know how that goes.
Sure, I'd love to.
If our listeners want to get in touch with you, what's the best way for them to reach out to you, Barry?
Sure. I guess one of two ways. They could go to my website, which is www.brc-law.com, or our phone number at my main office is 781-344-2886. I also have offices on the Cape as well. The new business will have offices between basically Boston and Cape Cod.
Wow, well, that's a lot of geography. People don't think about it as a lot of geography, but there's an awful lot going on in that area and the whole southeast corridor.
So we want to be located where the business is happening.
Absolutely. Well, good stuff. Barry Crimmins, owner of the law offices Barry R. Crimmins, has been our guest on Radio Entrepreneurs, and we look forward to hearing from you again and wish you continued success and good luck with the launch of your new business.
Great. Thank you, Jonathan.
And learning
I appreciate it.
all about zoning and permitting on the South Shore. We'll be right back with another guest on Radio Entrepreneurs.